Good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. Thank you, Chris, for the for sharing and hosting us. I'm going to be sharing my screen, and we are going to be talking about ants. Please let me know if everyone can see the screen. Okay, perfect. So we are ants. My name is Christopher, and I'm a business developer at ants. And also we have Madalina here, who is also a business developer at ants. We are a satisfied assessment platform, and basically what we do is we help teachers' life so much easier. We make your life easier, and going to be explaining further. Today we're going to be talking about the story of ants. How does ants work? There's the three STEM use cases we use at ants, which is mostly like the STEM question types, the variables, handwritten and hybrid exams. I think you got Andy was talking about the summative and formative. So we're going to be talking about that. And then we're going to have a live product demonstration, which Madalina is going to be showing you how ants work using mostly the STEM cases we have. And then at the end, there will be, if there's time enough, we're going to be having questions and answers. So you can, whatever questions and answers, you can always ask. If you're unclear about anything during the presentation, you can always raise your hands and also ask also. So now, this picture just solidifies what before ants, what people like me who was like a teacher assistant at school, the founder of ants, and also Madalina, who was also a TA at school. We had to grade a lot of handwritten exams, so mostly summative exams. And it was always hell, trust me. And I can assume as teachers, I hope you can also look at this and be like, this is hell. And a lot of times we stayed up at night trying to grade a lot of exams. And this is where EAMS came in. So EAMS was founded by two TU Delft students in the Netherlands. They were also teachers assistants, and they had a lot of handwritten exams to grade. And they were thinking, how can we make this a bit faster? How can we how can we make this faster, and how can we actually digitalize this? And this is where we started in 2015. We had the first pilot from teachers. Teachers started using ants, so from TU Delft. And then at 2018, more schools followed, and they chose us as their assessment platform. In 2020, obviously the pandemic started, and then a lot of the schools moved to mostly like online exams and all, and this also accelerated the demand for ants. And because of that, we grow a lot, and the little office we had to move to a bigger office because our team kept growing because of the demand of ants. And now in 2023, we have actually now it's almost 30 plus ant specialists. We are currently like 70% or 80% in the Netherlands currently uses ants. We have 1,000 plus institutions that uses ants, and also 75,000 plus teachers all over the world that uses ants. How we work is you choose your assignment type, so either a formative or summative, in our case, written or digital. And then after that, you create a question. You can create a question manually, or you can add them in the question bank. Madalina is going to be explaining further what a question bank is. And then after that, you take the exam. So you choose the utilities and the setting for the assignment you want to use. And then once the student is done taking the exams, the teachers can actually grade them on our platform. So even if it's a written assignment, you can easily upload it into our ants platform, and you can easily grade those platforms, which Madalina is also going to be showing you. And then we have the insights. So the insights is where the teachers are going to be receiving valuable insights about the assignment and change contributions of questions and other more. We also support integration, so we always make it a point to mention this, that we support learning management systems. I already was hearing from Andy and Chris that you guys use Canvas. And so we support that. We also support proctoring. So in case of plagiarism or cheating or all of that, we support that. We also have different lockdown browser software that we also support. So in case, if you're doing like a digital exam and you don't want your student to go to other screens, you can just use our platform, and then with that we can support it. And I already mentioned with the handwritten exams, we support this printers, but you can also use any printer you want to. This is some of our customers we currently have. We have the University of Zurich, which is located in Zurich, Switzerland, Erasmus University in the Netherlands, KU11 in Belgium, McGill University in Canada, and Eton College, which I think you guys will be familiar with, in the UK. This is one of our reviews from the customers, as you can read here. The 3 STEM case studies we support. So these are some sort of like question types which Madalina is going to be talking about. We also support some coding questions, worksheet, mathematical question types, drawing. And the webcam feature is a feature whereby if you give some sort of like an assignment, a math question, and you want to see how the students derive the answer, the student can actually draw something down and take a picture of it. Madalina is going to be explaining further also how it looks like when she's giving the live demo. With the question generation, I heard Andy talking about randomizing numbers for the questions. With EAMS, we are able to do that using variables, which is going to be easier and takes even less time for you teachers. And then we have a hybrid, which is formative and summative, in our case, handwritten and digital. And now I'm going to be sharing the screen to Madalina to explain the live demo.
Thank you, Chris. All right, so I'll be sharing my screen. Let me know if you see it.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So currently I'm logged into EAMS. We are a web platform, so it's just via the browser. And here you can see the main screen of EAMS. Currently I'm an administrator, so we have different roles within EAMS, like a student, a teacher, and we also have custom roles. So everyone will see a personalized view with only their own courses and question banks and assignments. And this is the main screen, which is divided in 3 main sections. So we have the courses, which is your normal mathematics, physics, chemistry, where we add our assignments within courses. We have a question bank. This is where you can build basically a database of questions. So teachers can create together questions, they can work on it and store it there to be reused later in assignments. And on the right side, you see your recent activities, live assignments, and schedule assignments, kind of like a shortcut to the tests that are live at the moment in the environment. So I'll first show you a question bank. This is how it looks like. So teachers can either import some questions also from their LMS or through the different imports, or you can create a new exercise. And every exercise will have a unique number, a name. You can also add labels. And some data that I will discuss a bit later about in the insights part. So here's, for example, one question, which is STEM related. So on the left side on the screen, you see the kind of view where I can create a question. So I can add a new description. This can be a text, an image, a video, anything you want to add before your question. And you can also add a new question. Currently, we have over 15 question types with the ones that Chris mentioned, the numerical, mathematical, code editor that are more STEM oriented. So you can add from here and then every question will look a bit different. Here I have added a mathematical equation. If I will edit this, you will see that I use LaTeX. So in order to have the symbols mathematicals as they're supposed to look. But we can also use the equation keyboard, which is in EAMS, in which I could just introduce the symbols I need in my questions and use it in my text, either as a teacher or the students can also use it in their answer. What's unique about the mathematical question is that it has an inbuilt equation solver. So I can just put the equation here, say that this is a differentiation, for example, and the platform will calculate the answer for you. So this is the answer in this case for differentiation, and it's gonna grade it automatically at a later stage. So next to the question, we have some metadata. You can add, for example, the type of assessment. This is a formative one, and you can add the chapter, the subject, whatever you want to find your question easier. I can also assign people or make some comments, some tasks. For example, here I could tag my colleague Mike and say, hey, Mike, can you please take a look at this question? Should we include it in next year test or not? And you can kind of discuss and have this collaboration and conversation with your colleagues within the platform. On the right side, what you see is a preview of the view for a student. So in case the student will take a digital test, it would look like this in the question. In that exam, sorry. A question can have a grading scheme. So this one, as I said, is automatically graded, but for an open question, for example, we could add here 5 points in total and how we want to divide the points, the criteria for grading. And here we also have some objectives. So if we want to track how well students do in different learning objectives, you can specify what's the objectives related to each question and then see some analytics on it after the exams is taken. So I'll go back to my question bank, and one more thing I'll show you in here is the question bank assignments. So out of your questions, you can create assignments or exams. We can either create a new assignment with the questions we already have, or we can generate an assignment, which I think it's quite interesting, especially for the digital exams. Generating means creating a blueprint, final exam, we call it. That means I can give my assignment some criteria, like I want 5 multiple choice questions, 4 numeric ones. I want them to have these specific learning objectives that I already added, and I want them to have the accepted label, and to be from the, let's say, biology subject. So this will generate an exam for you out of the database of questions you have. You can put it to be fixed, or you can also randomize it so every student will get a different exam based on your questions. So I will not generate now, but that's how it works. And then it will appear in here, a generated assignment. So for time reasons, I will go back, and this was a bit about my question bank. And now we'll go into a course and show you how an assignment looks like and how the whole taking process that Chris walked you to works. So this is my course. Within a course, I have different assignments that I can schedule for students. When can they see it? And here I can also add a new assignment. Here on the screen, you see all the assignment types. So we mentioned already there's digital and handwritten on paper, but you can also have, for example, a hand-in assignment just with a portfolio or something they can review between themselves, peer reviewed. So today we're only gonna show digital and written, but there are a bit more options in here. So I will go first into a digital exam. And this is my main view. So again, on the left side, you see where I create the question. So here, for example, I added the question with the table. This is a multiple choice. Some questions I took from the question banks, other questions I just created in here. So I create my questions. I have my grading schemes in here. How do I divide the points? And I also have my learning objectives. The flow is an interesting one, again, for the STEM sciences. In the flow sections, you can, again, randomize, so the students can see their questions in a random order and also with the options in a random order. So then you can have the same questions, but they're gonna look different for every student. And I always think it's interesting to show how it looks like for a student. So in a digital test, they will have a start screen in which they can get some instructions from you, and you can have a logo and personalize this however you want. Then as a student, I want to start the test and see how it looks like. First thing I see is that in this test, my teacher added a paper for me. So this can be a formula sheet like your colleague also showed earlier. in which the student will have a double screen, a split screen, that they could see this paper on the side of their exam. If I want to hide this, I press this button. And they can also be allowed to have different tools, like Chris mentioned, there are different utilities. So the teachers enables or disables different options for the students. Here, for example, teacher added the calculator. Students can also take some digital notes for themselves to that the teacher cannot see during the test. And they also have some accessibility settings if they need it, like a large font, a dyslexia, or a high contrast mode. So I will walk you through the main question types, not all of them, especially the ones that are related to STEM, to mathematical sciences. So the first one I'm going to show is a multiple choice, which is the simplest one we can get. Here, the students have the right to bookmark it. If the teacher allows, they can come back to it later. They can select the right answer, but they can also cross the ones that they think it's not correct. And especially for summative assessments, like Chris mentioned, if you allow direct feedback, the student will see directly if they are correct or not, to kind of see what they did wrong right when they do the exam, and then they can prepare better for the formative exam. Here I have an open question. These are your normal kind of option of text editing you also see in Word, but what I want to highlight are two things we added with COVID times. The first one is the audio recording. So in case the students had to describe a process and you don't know if they actually learned it or not, a lot of teachers in COVID times use this to kind of tell the students, hey, please explain your answer. So then they could attach this audio recording and it could be part of their grading. And I also want to show you the webcam screenshot that Chris mentioned. So this is, for example, my drawing of a graph. I could take a picture and the students could just attach that to their answer. So for the teacher to see it when they grade it. Here are some different question types. For example, a hotspot one. This is one, again, the variables that Chris mentioned. So I can add a new question just by writing it, but I can also do it in a code editor for each question. In this code editor, I added variables. So I could give this value A between 40 and 60, and then every student will get a different number in here. And also because this is part of the closed-ended questions, this will be automatically graded and the answer will adapt for every student. Here are again some different question types. This is the one where the students can use the keyboard with equations to answer their own questions. This is a file upload, some different types of multiple choice and open questions. But I will just quickly move to the ones that's relevant to you, which is the code editor. So this is quite unique in EAMS because students can write code and they can also run code directly in their test. So here, for example, this is the right question, right answer as far as I know. So as a student, I could run this if my teacher allows it, and they can directly see how their code is doing. You can also test for bugs, and you can choose here from multiple coding languages. The basic one is Python, but there are some more options in here. And the last one, it's not so interesting. It's one in which we added an audio, for example, in the description. But here again, you can also add images, videos, anything in that sense. So I will go back to my digital test. So this is how you see how the student takes the test. And what does the teacher see? They see a live screen with what's happening during the test. So they can see who's not started yet, who's busy, and what students submitted already. They can see a live progress of where the students are with every questions, how many completed the first one, second one, and so on. And this is again a new beta feature we have. So this is where you can directly communicate with the students while they take the test. So here I gave as an admin an announcement to the students that they have 10 minutes left. And if you wish for the students to also text you back, some teachers prefer it, some not, you can also allow that. So they can write back, hello, miss, I have a problem. Can I please get 5 more minutes? So again, this is to improve the collaboration and the communication. So everything is one platform. So you don't have the test running and then also emails coming over you, and reduce this kind of workload and stress on being in all sides of the platforms. So for teachers, again, the most interesting part is the reviewing. So how does the grading work? First thing I can do as an admin is distribute the work if I want to. So if my colleague Chris and I are grading the same test, I could, as an admin, divide the work. So I could say that I'm grading the first 4 exercises and Chris is grading the second, the next 2 exercises. So in this sense, these teachers that I attribute to will only see those exercises, so we could divide the work and we could make it faster by using horizontal grading. So as you can see here, there are 2 types of grading. We can review per student, so vertical grading, every paper 1 by 1 for each student, or we can review horizontally, which we discovered that saves a lot of time when we do 1 question from start to end, 2nd question from start to end, and so on. Here, what's very important to say is that out of the 17 question types, most of them are closed-ended. The closed-ended questions will be automatically graded by the platform. So you will here already see it graded. And the teacher here will only have to go through the open question, for example, or coding question that needs a bit of manual look at it. So I will open this exercise to show you how the grading looks like. So the view is quite similar. On the left side, I see the student's answer for the digital test. And on the right side, I see my grading scheme that I added. Again, the closed questions, for example, this is the variable one. This is already graded automatically. So maybe I could just show you the open question and how does that work. So here I have my grading scheme. I can add the points that the students accumulated, but I can also do a bit more for them to understand what they did wrong. So here I can add, for example, some feedback that the students can see afterwards. I can add an audio recording, I can add a picture, but I can also use quick comments. So we use these kind of shortcuts to save a bit of time every here and there. So if you kind of say the same feedback to students over and over again, we can add a small hashtag as a quick comment, and then you could reuse that and kind of do it faster. In case, let's say we have a student that's quite unique and they don't really fit in the grading scheme, I can simply adjust this grading scheme and say, okay, this student will have plus 0.1 because of. And if another student will do exactly the same thing, then this will adjust in their grading as well. Here you can see a bit more options in terms of grading. So I can also add annotation, highlight parts, and comment on this. I can have a discussion after the students get the grade. So again, to prevent this emailing and having it in different platforms. If I open a time slot for them to discuss, that means that in this specific time slot, they will have an exam review and they could chat with me about their exam exactly in that part. And the flags part is again for you to communicate with your colleagues. So if you grade together, I can say, hey, can you please check this answer? If do you think we should give the student another point? So again, on the communication and collaboration side. This was a bit about the grading. Here's how the results view would look like. So you will see for every student what's their points and what's their marks in case it's different. And I will also see the results per exercise. So here we have different symbols. When it's going to be automatically graded, you're going to see, for example, with this symbol, the 2-3 questions that are left ungraded. And I can have a whole overview of how does it look like. So I can see that everyone got 4A wrong as a question. So that means for me as a teacher that maybe I should take a look, work a bit more on that subject. So this kind of helps for teachers to understand what's happening with the students in the test. And now I'll show you the insights. So insights, we call the analytics, the statistics that are after the test. Those automatically appear here after the test is taken by the students in EAMS. And in the first tab, you can see some general data on the pass rate, for example, what's the division of grades, how much time did they took, what's the average points, and so on. And then we have some analytics at the questions level. So here you can see some statistical values that I think you're aware of, like the p-value, the guess score. And based on those, we calculate the quality of different questions. So this is, for example, a good quality question. But if I scroll a bit, I see that this one is rated quite difficult. And this one needs attention in terms of quality. So this data is very important for teachers to improve their future tests. You can also see a group comparison. So how did different classes or groups within the same class do? what's the rank correlation, and what's the multiple choice breakdown. So how many students chose each option of the multiple choice. What Chris was talking about is also the changing of the contribution. So here I can say that, for example, that question 4A, where everyone got it wrong, what can happen is that the teacher made a mistake, and maybe then I would have to take all of the tests one by one to take those points out or add them or so on. So this is kind of what the contribution does. If I see that there's something wrong with this question, I can directly make it here a bonus or give it full points or disable it. ANS will predict the consequences. So it's going to calculate a bit, for example, that the average score will go down. And if I confirm this, but I will not, this will apply to all students at once. We have a bit of an overview of the insights per learning objectives. So how did they do in different learning areas? And also at the admin side, I have an overview of the alignment. So this is when there are those teachers that give very big grades. They are very nice. And those teachers that are very strict. Here where the admins would see it if they want to. So here, for example, I graded 1 result in less than 5 seconds, and Chris on the other side graded 9 results in half a minute. So what this means is that there's a big difference between me and Chris when grading. I can see there's a deviation detected. So based on that, the administration can take a look at this and see if they can improve in some way. I'll quickly go to my course and also show you the handwritten assignment. So this works exactly the same as the digital that I already showed you. We create the questions in ANS, we add them to a course, we add them to an assignment. There are a few less options, of course, for the paper exams. The only difference is that I will have a PDF that I could scroll to show it to you, that I could print for the students to have. Here you can choose, for example, for the open questions, if you have lines or if you have squares or if you want a blank box, and you have the different question types. What's unique about this is that you have those squares and those QR codes if you saw at every page. So how this works is that you give the students the paper, they write their answers, they have the test, then you can just scan it with a normal printer. And based on those QR codes, when you upload it back in ANS will know what student did that test, what test is it, and what page does it belong to. So even if we mess the pages up of the same student, it will recognize each page. And we can upload it back in ANS and grade it in here. So the reviewing part will look quite similar to the digital one. On the left side, you'll see the student's answer. And on the right side, you'll see my grading scheme that I added. You can do exactly the same steps as giving the points to them, adding some feedback for them, making some annotations. Here it would look like this, with like drawing like you would do on paper. You can also add some comments like this. So the grading looks exactly the same. The only difference is that we have it on paper. Also, what to mention is that even if it's paper exam, we have a technology that recognizes multiple choice questions. So even if you have multiple choice on paper, the same applies to bubble sheet exams where they only have the options to choose from. This will be also automatically graded, even though like in this type of questions where we have 2 correct answers will kind of see, let me show you. It will put a box in here and it will recognize the student's answer, and this will be automatically graded. After the test, you can again see the results, the overview, the insights, exactly like you saw in the digital part. So what I did, I walked you a bit through ANS. I showed you the main dashboards to start with, and then walked you through a question bank, creating a question, having a course and having an assignment, and the whole assessment process, the satisfying workflow as you saw on the slides. So what I will do, I will stop sharing to let Chris finalize with the slides, and we are open for questions from now on. Chris, you're muted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Madalina, for the extensive demo. Now it's time for questions. If you have any questions, you can either unmute yourself or you can also ask it on the chat, and we are happy to take any questions. Is there anybody with questions, maybe?
For feedback, what did you think?
Oh, feedback, yes. Okay, if you don't have any questions, now, you can always send us any questions you have on our on here in the contacts. Madalina, if you can be nice to put our contact also on the chats, then they can also ask a question, or you can scan the QR code in here with your phone to contact us.
Yeah, so feel free to reach out to the general email to hello@ans.app, or you can also just put Madalina-ans.app or Christopher-ans.app. And we are free to any questions or feedback you may have on these sessions or on ANS.
Yes, and also if you want, you can also create a free demo trial on our website. And that is free for the first 2 to 3 months. And we can also guide you in whatever things you're unclear about, just to kind of play around and see what you think is, you know, if it's something that could be useful for you. So please feel free to do that. And if no one else have any other questions, I would stop sharing my screen now, and I would really love to thank you guys for your time. And also Andy for giving us the opportunity to be able to present ANS to you guys. Thank you so much. And yeah, Madalina, if you have any other thing.
No, I think if the participants don't have any questions, we could
Okay.
let them go and have this show.
All
But
right.
feel free to contact us, and thank you for being here and listening.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.